Hello, welcome to a new edition of our show, Money Means Business. And as we always say, business means money. Stability and business mean a lot of money. Well, there are developments daily in Egypt taking place on the local scene, definitely. And the new republic is showing every aspect of it and is shining. Actually, this is what we want to say. We have with us a lot to talk about today. The visit of the President and also President Fattah al-Sisi inaugurating the Ahalina project and the housing project that our own people, it's called Ahalina, are our people, are just supposed to be, having a decent life. So unsafe areas, the buildings there or the housing there is replaced by new housing that is safe for the people, for Ahalina. President Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated today, Saturday, by a video conference, a number of new housing projects in the 6th of October city in Giza Governorate, allocated for alternative housing units for residents of unsafe areas. During the opening ceremony, President Sisi stressed that the government officials the need to upgrade and provide all basic utilities in the areas of the new projects to better serve the civilians. Before going for a short break, I'd like to introduce our guest, Dr. Syed Kholy, Professor of Management at Ain Shams University and also Chairman of the Promotional and High Supreme Council of Universities. Welcome, sir, with us.
Pleasure mine.
Well, there is a lot to talk about tonight, but then we'll go first for a short break, after which we'll be coming back. Stay tuned to us, don't go away.
October Garden City is one of the cities of the fourth generation as it witnessed the completion of the largest social housing project at the level of new cities with 90,000 housing units divided into several regions. The city of October Gardens is located between Fayoum Road and El Wahat Road. The total area of the city is 41,780,000 fidans, including 18,000 urban blocks after updating the general plan of the city, residential, service, industrial, tourist, and recreational areas. October Gardens include about 194,000 units, including 121,568 units implemented by the Urban Communities Authority and 21,008 units implemented by the Housing Finance Fund, Housing and Development Bank, and 46,135 units implemented by the private sector, people and investors. The population of October Gardens is currently 220,000 people and the population is targeted to reach 2.5 million people. Road networks have been implemented within the city with a length of 557 kilometers. Communication networks with a length of 100 km have been implemented and 76 km roads are being implemented, and there is a plan with the city authority to convert all communication networks into smart networks. October Gardens include various levels of housing, including social housing, youth housing, free investment housing, a number of build-your-house areas, and lottery lands for above-average housing. It also includes a number of educational, entertainment and sports projects and giant projects such as October Oasis, Horse City and University's Whale for Science and Technology, and large sports clubs in addition to the Cosmic Village, which is closer to Giza City, Shooting Square, Haram Street and the Ring Road than the rest of October City. Moreover, Engineer Muhammad Mustafa, head of the October Gardens City Authority, confirmed that the first application to be prepared to connect the city's residents with the device have been completed, which also several services, most notably submitting complaints and ending all transactions with the device through this electronic application, pointing out that the internal system of the device has been completed and the final form of the electronic application is underway. While the October Gardens Authority began to support the internal lines in the city, coordination is underway with the traffic to allow the licensing of a number of other microbuses and link them to other cities, and priority will be given to the city's residents.
Welcome back again to President Kholy, the Professor of Management, Ain Shams University, and the Chairman of the Promotion High Supreme Committee of Universities. Again, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Well, a lot has been happening. Every day, a lot happens actually, and today was the inauguration of the project of Ahalina, or our people, the alternative housing. So how do you see that, the need for this decent life in light of the new republic?
That's the new Egypt. That's the leadership of Egypt, where you can see in a daily basis new things happening. And today I was so proud of Egypt. I was so proud of the government. I was so proud of the president of Egypt, where the leader of Egypt, he have an idea. The sky is not the limit.
No.
And whenever we do, he demand more and more and more. And of course, as he mentioned today, it is not for himself, it is not for his record, it is for Egypt, for the people of Egypt. And the people of Egypt, their number accelerates. So whatever we are doing, really, without controlling the birth rate in Egypt, all what we are doing is going to be consumed sooner or later. So my opinion, which is I really commend the president today, is to focus on the birth control in order to really see the fruits of what we are doing in Egypt. Of course, the housing project in Egypt, that is a mega project where no other country in the entire world have this kind of, we're talking about 500,000 acres to be renovated for our citizen in Egypt, poor citizen, where he really, for unsaved area, which it has been for the last 50 years, where they are going to be evacuated and moved to another healthy, safe environment. And as I say it today, they don't provide them with the housing only, they providing with furniture also, with all
Facilities.
appliance
Yes,
and facility.
True.
And of course, as the president mentioned, we cannot really improve education while we have the situation we have with unsaved area in many different places in Egypt. Look, for example, what happened to Musallas Masbiru, for example.
Yes.
People were living in a very unsafe environment, highly uneducated. The percentage of illiteracy was very high, and you cannot really invest in this project unless you really provide these people the safe environment with a very nice housing. As I saw it in TV today, I was so proud to be an Egyptian, really. And I never seen it anywhere in the world. In order to, even in the most richest country in the world, whether in the Gulf, you have to pay for it. And they provide this housing with no down payment, with no money, and they give there's the opportunity with the playground for the kids, with schools for this community. They provide them with a high level of health care, and also psychological training for the people who move from unsaved area to this area, to be able to cope with the new lifestyle. All of that, which we call it, as the president really focus on today, the quality of life for Egyptian people. The quality of life he pursue for the next 5 years. God bless him, and keep doing the right work. And he also mentioned something very important. He cannot do it by himself.
Definitely.
The government cannot do it by itself, but we need to put hand in hand in order to have a better Egypt in the future. And my estimation, my forecast, Egypt it will be in a different place within a few number of years, because when you build the infrastructure for the human infrastructure, with the road infrastructure, with the electricity infrastructure, we can have a working workforce, powerful workforce, where we can attract foreign direct investment in the future.
Definitely. Well, actually, and also I want to mention, whenever we go to areas, like we've been like yesterday, and then some things are built, you know, we are just surprised by how beautiful and how progressive and how different things are seen. You know, new roads, new bridges, new buildings, new shabby areas that are being renovated and rebuilt, and houses. We're passing by Syed Zainab, and there's a very bad area there. Now the houses are so beautiful with the mashrabiyas and how they look like the new housing for those people who were in those unsafe areas, and it's beautiful. Even, you know, it's competing with the beauty of some of the buildings that were built before. Those are really nice buildings with, you know, they're getting the chance of a new life. And of course with the other areas also, with all the community, is like the schools, the shops they can have there, all the new chances that have been granted to them, not only housing, a full life. Actually,
if you take a look at the public housing we used to provide before, and with what we saw today, it's significant difference. Remember, he is not just doing housing, he's doing lifestyle. He really want to change the lifestyle of Egyptian people to feel proud of being Egyptian. That's the pride is very important, and to be loyal to Egypt. Remember, in 2011, it cost us over 6 trillion Egyptian pound in 2011. Why is that? Because of illiteracy rate was very high. People really, and also the president talked about today, when we have a change, we have a resistance to change. We have people sitting on Facebook providing the dark side of Egypt, not the bright side of Egypt. So all of us, me and you, all different professional, and in Egypt should really talk about that. We should give the right picture for Egypt, not the negative campaign for what we have in Egypt. I have people comes from outside of Egypt, and that's not my opinion. I have people coming from the States, for example.
Experience also.
And you were here last month, and they arrived to Egypt yesterday. And the first thing, and I'm talking about that is a president of American University in the States. You see a difference. He told me from last month to this month, 1 month only, he see a lot of difference in Egypt infrastructure. And people from the Gulf, when they come to visit me in a daily basis, you see an improvement. And of course, when we have a change, there is also a forces for resistance to this change. Definitely. I believe we shouldn't look to this kind of negative campaign. We should look for the reality, what we see on reality. And what we see in reality, it has to be promoted by all different professionals in Egypt. And we should really advertise for that, for the new Egypt, the new republic, and for all whatever in a positive side, not in the negative side.
Definitely.
I believe Egypt to go into the right direction, and this, the outcome from this, illiteracy rate will go down, and our health care, it will be improved, and all of that, it will be reflected on the productivity of people in Egypt. We'll be able to produce more, we'll be able to invent more, we'll be able to be more creative in the future. And when this happens, with the infrastructure of roads and electricity and all of that, we'll be able to attract a lot of foreign direct investment. And that is what the president was a couple of days ago, went to Hungary, for example, and
Yes.
made a lot of agreement in all different level,
Yeah.
bring more industry to Egypt, more foreign direct investment to Egypt, to be able to invest in Egypt. And this, it will really improve our standard of living, and it will improve our economical growth in the future.
Well, I'd like also to say, like during the lockdowns and all that, and very hard times that everybody passed through that affected the economy, Egypt was able that time to export produce, to export things, and excelling things in times that were really a time of hardship for everybody. But then the management was really great, since, we're talking management also. Comparing the management we had before, we had always, everybody, all the guests talked about a problem in management before. This time, with, the government and all that, the management is different. Things are managed in the right way, and since management is right, then things are just working.
When we ask what's management, we have a successful management, we have a failure management, we have a status quo management. And for the last 30 years before 2014, we have the status quo, which I call it as sleeping mode, where we feed the people, everything is fine and so on.
Keep it this
and
way.
keep it this way.
Remember,
our growth rate in terms of birth rate accelerate in a yearly basis.
Exactly.
10 years ago, the population in Egypt was about 80 million. Now it's 100 plus. And so on.
It's very hard, for the government to cope with that.
And that is very important issue. Of course, when we have a good management depends on a strategy. A good management depends on leadership. A good management depends on the vision of the leader. What we see, I believe President Sisi, for him, the sky is not the limit. For any other people come to Egypt, that is the sky, it is the limit. You cannot, no, he goes beyond. Remember what he said today. 5 million unit is not enough. I'm looking for 10 million. If 10 million, I'm looking for 20 million, and so on. And he's trying very hard. And you can see, he was in Hungary a couple of days ago. Today he's opening, tomorrow he's opening another thing, and so on. And he look for all different directions. He's looking for health care, to provide insurance, public insurance for all Egyptians to be covered. You're looking for the health of women, is very important. You're looking for the health of our kids in school, provide them with free meal for our kids in public school. And all of that, it is the leadership and management assembly. The government develop a plan, which we call it as Egypt Vision 2030. And you're going with this strategy, stage by stage. Of course, we are not going to wait for 2030. We start to see the fruit of strategy today and tomorrow. And I believe in a couple of years, Egypt, it will be in a different place.
Definitely. We'll go for a short break, after which we'll be returning back. Stay tuned to us. Don't go away.
Minister of Planning and Economic Development Dr. Hala Syed said the cash transfers to Egyptians abroad continued their growth and upward trend to be estimated at $31.4 billion in 2020-2021, representing more than a third of the total foreign exchange sources in the past 2 years, achieving a growth rate of 13% compared to the 2019-2020, which amounted to $27.8 billion, and a growth rate of 70% compared to the year 2013-2014, when it recorded $18.5 billion. Syed indicated that the state worked to revitalize the economy by increasing incomes and increasing investments in priority sectors, and this included providing a stimulus package of about £100 billion, in addition to adopting stimulus monetary and fiscal policies as the state expanded in following social protection measures. The Egyptian economy transactions with the outside world during the fiscal year 2020-2021 achieved a surplus of about $1.9 billion compared to a deficit of $8.6 billion during the previous fiscal year affected by the coronavirus. In its latest report, the central bank revealed that the total surplus was achieved despite the current account deficit rising to about 18.4 billion US dollars during 2020-2021 compared to 11.2 billion during the previous fiscal year. The Export Council for Building Materials issued a statement revealing a huge jump in the sector's export to the Libyan market, coinciding with the reconstruction projects in the sisterly republic for iron products, cement, marble, and raw materials related to building and construction projects. In its statement, the Export Council indicated that Egypt's iron and steel exports to Libya grew by 5.34% from January to the end of last August, as well as cement with a value of 45.2 million US dollars compared to 16.7 million in the same period last year, and sanitary ware by a significant growth of 1.6% with a value of $6.5 million compared to 3 million only last year. Bloomberg agency revealed in its report that Egypt and Greece have signed a preliminary agreement to lay a large electric cable connecting them. Under the agreement, Egypt will provide the European country with electricity. The agency noted that the agreement is the first of its kind between Europe and Africa in the southeastern Mediterranean. The electrical interconnection project achieves many benefits, including the establishment of a strong interconnection network in the eastern Mediterranean to improve the security and reliability of energy supply. Goldman Sachs believes that market fundamentals justify the high prices of oil and that what is happening is not a transit shock, as the case for natural gas, but rather the beginning of a higher repricing of oil. And Goldman Sachs officials explained that what's happening in the coal market, where supply is shrinking faster than demand, is a warning signal for the oil market, and that oil exploration activity has not recovered much in terms of supply, while demand is growing. So the market has begun to enter into a well-established stage of disability. Unemployment rates in Britain fell as the economy reopened, but job vaccines hit a record high to about 1.2 million jobs in September before the government's partial unemployment program was halted. Unemployment fell to 4.5% in the 3 months to August compared to 4.6% in the 3 months to July, but the rate is still 0.5 percentage points higher than levels before the pandemic. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan dismissed 3 members of the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee and appointed 2 new members and a deputy governor for the bank. Following the announcement, the Turkish lira fell by 1% and reached a new record low at 9.1875 against the US dollar, bringing its losses since the beginning of the year to 19%. Last month, the Central Bank of Turkey cut the main interest rate to 18% from 19% in a move analysts saw as a new evidence of political intervention from Erdogan, who describes himself as an enemy of interest rates. Gold prices witnessed a rise of 2% when they settled last Wednesday, with the acceleration of U.S. inflation and after the release of the minutes of the Federal Reserve meetings. The rise in the price of the precious metal came after data showed that the consumer price index in the United States rose 0.4% in September on a monthly basis against the expectations of an increase of 0.3%, while annual inflation recorded a level of 5.4% in September compared to 5.3% in the previous August.
Back to Money News Business, and we're talking, well, when we were talking management, and there was mismanagement before. Now the management knows exactly what to do, going to different countries and, finding foreign direct investment, having deals with the other countries. We are now exporting more than we did before. Some, countries well, just exported some produce. Now, we are taking the lead in different produce, and according to international standards that are the specific specifications, and we are doing it. Before, we failed in lots of things and mismanagement was there, but now things are totally different. President Sisi also, as you said, went to Hungary, a few days back. Well, talking business opportunities, collaboration, politically speaking, bilateral ties, and all that. Well, again, shedding the light on this trip. How do you see it?
First of all, that is it's a group of 4 countries. Hungary is the hosting this year for this gathering.
Yeah.
Also Poland, Slovenia, and Czech Republic. So they call it as V4. And we have annual meeting in each country every year. And Hungary, they are hosting this year conference. And they invited President Sisi a couple of years ago, and that's his second visit. The agenda of President Sisi, it's not only political.
Yeah.
It went in several memorandum of understanding, business agreement, military agreement, tourism agreement, educational agreement with Hungary. Hungary, for Egypt, we have over 100 years a good relation with Hungary. For example, one of the Muhammad Ali married from Hungarian lady over there, and she converted to Islam, and she lived in Egypt. That's in 1910. So that's over 100 years ago. So we have a tie with Hungary for over 100 years until now. Remember all the renovation in real way in trains and so on, we got it from Hungary. Remember here we call it as El Magri, and that is all different train we get is from Hungary, and the new deal was about $1 billion in terms of importing trains from Hungary. And also we have a lot of cooperation in terms of education, in terms of military cooperation between Egypt and Hungary, and also in terms of tourism. Most of the Hungarian people, they like to come and visit and spend their summer vacation and winter vacation in Egypt, and they love our history, and they teach Egyptian Egyptology in their schools and in their university. So we have different agreement, and of course when President Sisi went there a couple of days ago, he revived this agreement in order to open the door for Hungarian business people to come and invest in Egypt, which they have been already done. And expected the president and the prime minister of Hungary to come and visit Egypt to make things reality in ground. All of that, it really opened the door for Egypt to have a cooperation with central part of Europe. We are not dealing with Hungary only we are dealing with the Czech Republic and Slovenia and Poland, for example, and all of this is a heavy industry nation. And in order to really do a cooperation for them, you are going to rebuild your industrial sector from steel industry, textile industry, with the heavy machinery from this country, with a very reasonable price, with a strategic alliance between us and them. So it's a win-win strategy. And of course, these countries with their small population, for example, Hungary, it's about 5 million, or close to all of them. It's not really a quarter of Egyptian population. And our trade deficit, we don't have a trade deficit with this country. We export for them more than we import from them.
Yeah.
And that is a good news. So in order to really see the future, we have to build the alliance with all different, with China before, with Russia, with the States, and Central Europe now. I believe that's a plus for Egyptian economy and for attracting this foreign direct investment in Egypt. It really, when President Sisi talked a couple of years ago about, or 3 years ago about 2018, he said, and I remember, this year it is the year of quality. In order to really be able to export your product and service abroad,
Yeah.
you have to provide them with the highest level of quality. It means you have to be able to apply international standard in whatever you are producing in order to be able to sell it outside of Egypt. And thanks God, now our industrial sector with the new industrial or fourth revolution of industrial technology, with the digitalization which we have today in Egypt, will be able to export more and more in the future.
Definitely. Well, like foreign direct investment, how are we able, we always talk about that, and to attract foreign direct investment, since now, we're working on the roads, it's now, and all that is fine. Now also, very important thing is that we went back to Africa, as we are Africans. The relationship with all, Africa is really good, and we're back very positive and working hard on that too. So with Africa, with Europe, and all that, then there are chances. Of course, times still are hard with the COVID-19 that came in the middle and messed the economies of everybody, the whole world. But then, times it won't go on like this. Things will thrive, and there is a lot of work to be done, of course. But then also we're always asking about foreign direct investment.
Egypt is blessed really with their location, with its location. We are close to Arab country. We are Arab country,
Yeah.
so we are close to the Gulf. We are very close to the Mediterranean Sea. Was close to Europe.
Yeah.
We have the Red Sea, which it's really another direction for to go to a lot of African nation. We have the Nile River, which it goes through from Egypt as all 9 basin countries. Remember, if you look for the history with the previous president, for example, Nasser was very close to Arab nation. Sadat, he went to the States and European, and forget about Africa, and the same with Mubarak and so on. But the leadership of Egypt right now, we have a strong relationship
Yeah.
with Africa, with Arab country, with European, with the American, with the superpower, and all of that. Remember, I am investor. Why should I come to invest in Egypt?
Definitely.
So what it really, you should attract the foreign direct investment.
Yeah.
And that's what we have the government and President Sisi working on for the last 6-7 years. In order to attract business, you have to have infrastructure. You remember when we went to for competing for World Cup to have it in Egypt, very basic question. You have your highway is not really fit to host this kind of event,
Yeah.
and so on. Now we have the infrastructure of roads. We have a highway in all over Egypt. Whether you go to Upper Egypt, there is super highway, and with 7 lanes in each direction. That is infrastructure. You have the power shortage before. We don't have the power shortage now. We have excess capacity of energy,
Yeah.
where we can be able to serve or host this kind of industry. We have also the digital transformation,
Yeah.
where digital transformation, it creates transparency, it create an openness for the people who come to invest. How can I really transfer my money from Egypt to whatever any other destination? And we improved our investment law to make it easy. We started to work in the process, which it used to take months in order to be able to approve the investment. Now it takes days and some cases hours. All of this facilitate and give you a competitive advantage to attract foreign direct investment to Egypt. So Egypt is blessed by its location, by its culture, by its history, and so on. With their workforce, we are the lowest cost in terms of labor cost in the whole world. And all of this combined with whatever we are doing today, it really attracts foreign direct investment. Remember, we talked about housing, we talked about energy, we talked about human rights also. Egypt is really working very hard for human rights and to justice system or criminal justice system is going in the right direction. Last week, the president issued the delay in the process for law and all this procedure for law, which it take years. No, with the digitalization, it will take days and weeks, and you get it done in order to get your things done in the short period of time. Also, the focus in education, it became a very crucial issue for the president, and the same for healthcare, and of course also women in power. Remember, we in other government for the last, we have a very limited number of women representation in our government. Now we have 7 or 8 women, which they carry a very important ministry in Egypt.
Yes.
And that is, remember also, the convention where they have youth from all over the world comes to Egypt. All of this, it create a very healthy environment for attracting foreign direct investment in Egypt. It is not only the infrastructure, but all of these factors together. Security is very important. Safety is very important for the people who come to invest in Egypt.
Definitely. Well, we're going for a short break, after which we'll be coming back. Stay tuned to us, don't go away. Coming back in a moment. And we're back again to Money is Business with Dr. Syed Kholy. And well, we don't have much time, but like also the positive things that happen. The Egyptians that are everywhere. Before we used to, before like the new administration and before the new republic and before everything, before what happened. We just, they just, got, they always get like, we got foreign experts, this, that, when we have our own Egyptian experts helping different governments, working in very high positions abroad in different governments and helping in all spheres of life. Now things are just done, differently, even with the magnanimous and the stunning, taking the golden mummies to the final destination. It was grandiose. It was all choreographed, and the ones who were here Egyptians, the experts Egyptians, everything that happened with Egyptian hands and by Egyptians. The same thing with our Egyptian, engineers and all, and they are building in the new republic. Stunning projects are taking place here. Now, what else, with our Egyptians being abroad, like, we have Mo Salah, Mohammed Salah, and others. The good news, we're talking a lot about sophisticated stuff and projects, but then also we have our Egyptian ambassadors everywhere.
I lived in the States for about 14 years, and I worked in university, in a very big university in New York, for example, and I saw the presence of Egyptian professor all over American university. Yeah. And of course, they are all willing to come and give their expertise to the Egyptian government. It really happened. And not only university, but on all different sector, for example. A few years I was really had the Enchams award. And in this award, we have Hani Azer, for example. He's an engineer. He graduated from Enchams University, and he's a German now. And he built a lot of stations in Germany, and Prime Minister Merkel inaugurated him several times. And he was an Egyptian, and he came to help Egypt. Magdi Yaoub, for another example, he came after all this history in England. He came and built a huge project in Egypt, and he's helping the Egyptian people. And of course, Zuhail before that, and all of that. Now we talk about Mo Salah, for example. He just broke the African record where Drogba he have for several years now. Yeah. Today Salah broke this record, and that's in Egypt. Egypt, it has a lot of talent. Remember, among all different Arab countries, we have Naguib Mahfoud Nobel Prize, we have Zuhail Nobel Prize, we have several Nobel Prize from Egypt. So Egyptian really provide a good environment for Egyptian, whether in Egypt or outside of Egypt. And believe me, the Egyptian people abroad, they are willing to help Egypt for consultation for free. And President Sadat, he used to invite all of them in the presidential plane to come to Egypt in a yearly basis, spend a month here in order to help the government at that time. All of that, really, we have to open the door and linkage between the people abroad, Egyptian abroad, and Egypt. And that is the role where presidencies talked about today. We shouldn't talk to each other. Yeah. We should talk to the public. We should really send the message, not inside Egypt, but outside of Egypt. And I believe Mo Salah is a good representative for be able to really raise our voice abroad. He is a world figure right now.
Definitely. And also, you are in blessed days. Next week we have one day off, because of this occasion. We are celebrating the birthday of Messenger of God Muhammad. Peace be upon him.
Happy birthday, Prophet Muhammad. God bless him. And that's Egypt also really celebrate this day in every house. We wish Egypt really good prosperity for Egypt And as I told you several times before, Egypt, it will be, and the Egyptian will be in a different place within a few years. You can count in one hand.
It's noteworthy that during Ramadan month, well, Muslims and Christians, share the fanus or the lamp of Ramadan. We all buy that and celebrate. Even during the iftar, everybody is like inviting. Everybody is celebrating that time and is celebrating suhoor. Everybody is out. Of course, things are just a bit tuned down because of the COVID-19 and all that. But now, things are like that. Even with the halawat al-mulid, the sweets of the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, well, peace be upon him, Christians and Muslims buy that both. It's not
There is
only
no difference really between Muslim
definitely.
and we are Egyptian. We are Egyptian. And when I really say anything for my brother and sister from Christianity, I said they are Egyptian. We all Egyptian. And they try to really separate us,
dissect
but
the whole community,
nobody
but
will be able to really fraction the Egyptian unity.
Yes.
Egypt is one citizenship. It is whether it's Muslim or Christian. Egypt, we really love each other, and we are not going to be breaking. They tried that before, and they are not going to be successful.
Syed Kholy, it's always a pleasure having you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'd like also to thank our viewers for being there. We'll see you again next week. As for now, God bless Egypt, God bless Egyptians, God bless our army, our white army, our police, our president, and God bless the world. And we'd like also to congratulate everyone for the event of the coming of the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So bless you all. We'll see you again next week. I'm Narmin Nazim signing off. Goodbye for now. As we also quote from the Holy Quran, ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله آمنين, and